To the best feature film, Bereavement.
And the award for Best Director of a Feature Film, Stevan Mena for Bereavement.
That's two big wins for Bellport resident and filmmaker Stevan Mena at this year's Long Island International Film Expo in Bellmore. Mena's horror film Bereavement won Best Picture and Best Director.
Oh, it feels fantastic. It feels I love the validation I feel from getting an award from my local hometown and being here in Long Island. So it's great. I'm really appreciative of this. The fact that the film deals with extremely dark and violent subject matter, and to get validated by an international film expo really is a great way to say, hey, you know what? It's a sick film, but they liked it.
And like it they did. The filmmakers say it was a great experience to premiere the film to a Long Island audience.
It's great. I'm from Long Island, so it's great to get the local reaction from people who I know, and also from people who are locals. It's always more gratifying when you get that reaction and that opinion from people who you know and trust.
Tim Bristol, the film's producer, says they were reaching for a new level of horror film with this movie.
The idea is nature versus nurture. We have what makes somebody do the things they do. A lot of horror is unfortunately taken a bent where it's very exploitative, and it's very simple, and it's very there's no story behind it. There's just a lot of people running around naked getting killed, and we didn't want to we wanted to really take horror back to like a place where the story is what mattered. Like there was actually something like to get involved in, not just carnage and blood and guts, but there's actually something
psychological. Exactly,
something you could like relate to, and yet at the same time something you could look at and say, wow, this is a horrific thing that if I ever found myself in these circumstances, that what would I do? And that's what I hope we accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, we want to show a serious take of the horror genre. So this film is a little different from your standard horror fare in that it takes a more unusual approach to how the horror material is presented. It's not presented with a wink or with any kind of humor. It's really straight up. So I think it's a little more visceral to watch that way, a little harder to digest some of the material. But I think in the end, it comes off a lot more truthful than your average horror film. So, and that's kind of like what we're going for. At the core of the story, it really represents a parent's worst nightmare. And so, we didn't want to take that kind of subject matter and make it exploitative, especially when you're working with a film that centers around children. So we knew inherently we had to take a more, mature approach to this kind of storytelling. When I cast the film, a lot of my actors were unknowns who've gone on to become huge stars. Like, for example, a girl named Alexandra Daddario. This was her first feature film, and it was very new when I brought her in and discovered her. And now she has been the star in Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief, and she's she's the lead in the new Farrelly Brothers movie. Since my film, she's really exploded on the scene. And another person was Nolan Funk, who's again was an unknown when I signed him. We've also got Michael Biehn from The Terminator, John Savage, and Brett Rickaby, who's been in a lot of films like Zodiac, a lot of smaller films. So cast-wise, we were really lucky to get who we got for what the film's budget was for.
For more information on the film, check out bereavementmovie.com. Chris Collora reporting.